Hello and welcome to episode 23 of the Chronicles with us, the Red Devil Chronicle. My name's Joe, and this week United's form has caused Nick and Andy to both quit the podcast. But I, as a true fan of the club, am still here. United Chat, coming up next. So, as I said, Andy and Nick have both quit the podcast, and it's just me. So you're going to have to deal with me for about 55 minutes of your life.
Well, not all of us have quit, have we, Joe?
Oh, there is someone here.
Yeah, I'm here, Andy's still here, but Nick has gone AWOL. It might be down to United's form. It might be the fact that it's St. Patrick's Day and he's an Irish family and he needs to go and drink with them. It could be that. Should we find out?
Well, I'm sure we can.
I'm
sure we'll hunt him down somewhere.
Excellent. Well, we've got a lot of housekeeping to get through, haven't we, Joe? So let's crack right on with this. And sorry for doing that to you. Please don't tweet us angrily or leave us. It's only a joke.
Well,
it's fine. We're here.
You're here. I mean, with us two being here, I think it's only right we do find Nick.
Yeah.
And introduce him back into the podcast. He may not be joining us in the studio today, but I've got him on the bells and whistles.
Oh, well done.
Well done. Is. So, Nick, are you there?
I am, yeah.
There he is. He hasn't quit. We're all still here. Nick,
I'm still here.
It's good to have you on the phone. I'm surprised you're not already drunk. I know we're speaking to you at 6:30 in the evening Thursday night, but how many Guinnesses have you had so far?
I think about 3.5.
3.5. What time did you finish work? About an hour ago? 30 minutes ago?
A couple of hours ago, mate. I'm not doing
Couple hours ago. Excellent.
I was just there tarmacking some driveways.
Tarmacking some driveways. It's lucrative business, so I'm hearing. Right, well, Irish music aside.
On the opposite side of the phone, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit, yeah. Irish music aside then, it's been a while since we've last actually all been together, albeit Nick's here in spirit.
Well, I found out this just before we came, didn't we? I was very disappointed because, I mean, when we come to the studio, I was kind of thinking, oh, we're back together. It's been, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
I thought that it's going to be a good one, and then Nick pulled out about 2 minutes before.
A lot of housekeeping to get through, and I'm going to start with you, Nick, being as you're our sort of phone guest for this week. Let's just
very privileged.
Yeah, absolutely, and so you should. Let's discuss how United's potential resurgence, their rebirth of the season, all fell apart in 3 games. Nick, of course, it all started with the West Brom defeat, where we went to the Hawthorns and lost 1-0 in an awful game. Went down to 10 men, of course, early doors. But Nick, I mean, that's no excuse for losing a game like that, is it?
Did you see a lot of people were actually blaming Mata for that defeat?
Absolutely.
I didn't blame him at all. I thought it was total stupidity from Mata, but there was no belief whatsoever in the team. I didn't see any belief. The minute we got a player sent off, it was literally let's try and scrape a draw and see what we can do. That was it. There was no we'll still win this game with Man United. It was just we'll get a draw out of it.
There was nothing to suggest we were going to win the game with 11 on the pitch, though, was there?
No, it was a terrible performance, but I think that's been United's problem since Fergie left. It just seems to be, we have 2 or 3 games where everyone's like, right, we're doing well again. We beat Arsenal 3-2 with an under-21 team. Everyone started getting the hopes up, thinking we finally turned it around. Everyone saw the light at the end of the tunnel, and the same thing happens. We get beat at a very poor team.
Absolutely right, Joe. And Nick mentions there about the LVG bandwagon, or alluded to it at least, that rolled back into town, didn't it, on the back of some poor defeats against some poor teams with the youth club. For some reason, LVG in fans came out the woodwork, and it seemed like it'd been turned around. Were you ever of the opinion that it had turned the corner?
No. I was at the Arsenal game where it was one moment that sparked the LVG thing, the whole in. It was because he came to the touchline and threw himself to the floor, and it encouraged people to we actually had something to like for about 5 minutes. If he did that every game, then maybe he might have a bit more, do it
a lot.
fans. But yeah, well, exactly. It might encourage people to
the horny comment as well.
Well, exactly. All these ridiculous things he's coming out with made probably the lesser fans, the ones that sit in the armchairs and just go, who make their opinions on what they see on social media. It took some of them. It didn't take anyone in the stadium, although I did hear people singing, Louis van Gaal's Red and White Army. I could not do it. Couldn't bring myself to do it.
Oh, dear me.
I know I was sat in the 20 times stand, and I just could not believe what I was hearing. But oh well, moving on from that. It was It's not good, is it? It's not. It hasn't been good. I think it's become almost sarcastic by the fans.
Yeah.
I think that it's less of LVG and it's more kind of we're waiting for summer. And I think every true fan knows what we're waiting for. It's waiting for us to not get top 4, so we can sack him and bring someone else in. And it's a horrible thing to know that's happening because you just kind of sat. I feel a bit like an Arsenal fan from 5 years back when we're just not. They know they're not going to win anything, and they're just waiting for the manager to go.
It is like that, isn't it? It's almost become like a delay. It's sort of United fans coming to an acceptance that, look, we should have got rid of him on Boxing Day, and probably 3 or 4 times since then at least. But it's not going to happen. Woodward has clearly come out and backed him, and he is staying until at least the summer. So I think everyone's just sort of written the season off, accepted this is what we're doing, and if we can get anything out of it, that's just a bonus from here on in. That's pretty much the feeling I get.
I think January was an indication of where United are at with LVG. He wasn't backed at all in January.
Absolutely.
Everyone knows we need players. There is players out there that we could have got that would have improved the squad. But I reckon United are holding the cards close to the chest because they're aiming to get rid at the end of the season.
Didn't trust him, absolutely, Nick. And on that point, with Louis van Gaal and the team that he was left as a result of which is quite thin, somehow, despite the spending power in summer. How is it, Nick, that Louis van Gaal, particularly in the West Brom game to focus on to start with, how does he consistently get it so badly wrong? What I mean by that is he dropped Varela, who'd been informed, and Schneiderlin, who must have murdered someone at Old Trafford, and arguably could have brought Fellaini on in that game, and yet he played Carrick, he continued to play blind against Rondon. I mean, Nick, how is he continuing to get this so wrong? Why does he not know his best team yet?
I just think, am I right in saying that we've probably got the best record against the top 6, but the worst record out of the big teams against the bottom 6?
I believe you're still correct in thinking that, yeah.
I'm correct. So I don't know whether it's LVG's lack of knowledge for the smaller teams, if it's a disregard for them, if it's just taking them too easy because we think we're a better team straight away. I also question the players' motivation for the game as well. I just think, that West Brom game was absolutely abysmal. The motivation, the passion, the aggression, none of it existed. It was just awful. So I think you've got, obviously the players have got to be a little bit accountable for what happened on the pitch, if I'm being honest.
Absolutely right. And the motivation, like you say, against the smaller teams does seem to be an issue. But, I mean, Joey, with regards to that then, I mean, why is it that Louis van Gaal can't motivate his players? And is it Van Gaal still demonstrating, as Nick says, not being able to set up against the lesser teams? Does he not have the knowledge or respect for the Premier League?
Well, I have some qualms with what you're saying about Schneiderlin.
Shoot.
I don't think Schneiderlin's been that good of recent times. I don't think he's actually brought anything to the game. I don't think I've seen him touch the ball when he's played in the last couple of weeks. Yeah, I don't see it from him. I don't see the passion. Maybe it is because he's playing under LVG. I just don't see him as. He doesn't feel like a United player still to me. It doesn't. When I look at the squad, I don't feel like I'm watching the United squad that I used to think I love that squad. It's been you could pull everyone apart from it, and Schneiderlin I think is one of them players I could pull out of the squad. Varela, also, I do. That's the one thing I will agree with you on is that he has been in good form, and it was a bit daft to drop him, but at the same time, I mean, we signed someone to put there, didn't we? So you kind of have to play him in one way.
Fine. One thing I'm going to fire back at you, Joe, on the Schneiderlin thing, and yes, I think there's a lot more to come for him, and I agree, but I think he's still been very good. What's that? Sorry, Nick.
Our stats coming out now with the percentage that we win with Schneiderlin.
No, it's not going to be that one. I'm just going to fire a simple question, and it's a conversation that we've had.
I mean, November, if we go to looking at them stats with Schneiderlin, it's not
still running. But the question I was going to ask you, and me and Nick have had this conversation only last week, I think, over a couple too many beers. But Joe, in your opinion, with United's 2 in midfield, who has been our best 2 as a central midfield partnership this season?
Carrick. And there isn't one, is there?
Carrick?
Carrick is probably one of the most influential players on that pitch, and he's
been awful for the last couple of games he's played.
Nope.
I'm inclined to agree. Who's your other one next to Carrick, then?
Right. Okay, but
you're picking United's midfield 2.
When we played Carrick in
all right, that's fine. I'm accepting your argument. If you want to play Carrick, you're Louis van Gaal right now, okay? Yeah. You're playing Carrick. You've made that call. He's influential, right? He might have been in the past. Not for me at the moment. That's fine. We're going with Carrick. He's one of them. Who's your other one? Who are you putting next to Carrick if you're Louis van Gaal?
There's no other choice. It's either Schneiderlin or Schweinsteiger, and you know how much I hate Schweinsteiger.
So who are you choosing? Exactly right.
Someone
we'll
from the youth team. Someone
Schneiderlin it is. That is my argument, and I think, Nick, I think we agreed to it, although, as I say, it was over a couple of beers, so maybe slightly blurry head on this one. Herrera,
best duo in midfield.
Herrera and Schneiderlin? Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I think that's our best because it's got a bit of everything. It's got a bit of bite, it's got a bit of creativity, and they're both young enough to put the legs in as well, which I think Carrick's really lacks now.
Yep. Absolutely. Let's move on to the Liverpool game, of course. The second in the trio of really awful games since we've last been on air. And let's fly through this one as well. Liverpool 2, Manchester United 0 from Anfield. Nick, impotent attacking display, in my opinion, as I said on Twitter on the evening. Completely toothless, frankly looked tired and uninterested in the game. I have never seen a Manchester United team at Anfield turn up with that attitude before. Does that show for you that the players have completely given up on this season as well, or was it just a blip?
I think so, and even being honest, I think they're going through the notions at the moment. They're just waiting for that, obviously, that final game.
Are we the Villa of the top six? Is that what we're saying here? That we're just happy to just pass around the defence and just watch other teams just play their game while we attempt to get a draw?
There's no commitment. I think United generally have the same problems City have at the moment. Obviously, City have announced Guardiola's coming in, and they seem to come off the boil a little bit in terms of...
Well, did I not say this when it was announced that Pep was joining? I think I said it in the podcast that when it's going to disrupt the current squad, because obviously bringing a new manager in with the current one, then what motivation has that manager got to win anything while he's still there? Yeah, he's got his career to think about, but he's got no reason to stay. If he won all three of the trophies he was going for, then... And still knew Pep was going to come in. What was the point? So it was obviously going to do something to the squad.
It's the same problem that we have. It's the same problem that City have. Half the team knows might not even be there next season. They're playing for a manager that probably won't be there. The players will know more than us because they'll see what goes on behind the scenes. But every United fan has an inkling that LVG is not going to be there. And I seriously judge the commitment the players currently have. I think it's abysmal at the moment. I think the West Brom game was shocking. I think the Liverpool game was shocking. I think the Arsenal game, it was a bit of luck. We just sort of had a free punch. We went for it. No one expected us to get anything, and we somehow managed to win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with regards to the way Louis van Gaal's choosing to play at the moment, Joe, you know, the Van Gaal criticism, as we discussed, it did die down a little on the run-up to these run of games, and that's partially down to the sort of youth policy he's had, bringing in youth players, partly because, or largely rather, because he's had to. But in doing so, is he not further impacting on the squad's actual ability? I mean, if you look at these results with the youth coming in, they gave an initial injection, but are they actually of the talent to play for Manchester United, the likes of Lingard, of Rashford, these sort of players, or are they just purely there because we have no other options?
I mean, you just said to me who's our best two midfielders, and I think a lot of that comes... we haven't got the depth, have we? We've only got... I think, was it 5 players injured at the moment? And the thing about that is that's not an awful lot for a squad to have out. That's pretty an average number for a squad to have at one time. I mean, they're not terribly influential players, all of them. They're not going to change the way we play completely. I mean, you could argue one that we're missing our captain, but that's... No, you two have been arguing about how that was a good thing for...
He's not great either.
Well, exactly. So, I mean, I just think... I don't think Rashford... I think Rashford will be good. I don't think he's this superhero that everyone thought he is. I think he came in and he's a good confidence player. He got in the right places for 2 games, and he's had his stint. After them 2 games, he would have been such a boost to come on at half-time or something like the 60th minute, to bring him on if it was 0-0 and bring on that player who's been playing off that much confidence. But we didn't. We just carried on playing him. And then we're ruining players like that because we have no other option to play.
I'm genuinely happy for Rashford, but he should be anywhere near the squad right now. The fact that he's in the squad shows the problems Manchester United have.
Well, my issue is we have a young, talented, almost talented attacking midfielder in Januzaj. And although I hate him, and I never thought I'd bring this into an argument about when talking about United, but why are we playing someone like Rashford on the right of the wing when we've got a player like Januzaj, who I could say he's probably better than Rashford in his current stage of his career? Why are we playing that formation? We've got Memphis, Januzaj, and you play Martial up front. You could even put Januzaj in the middle to fill in where Matter's can't be at the moment. It's just we don't seem to be able to use our squad as an option in the right way. We only played players when when they're out of form.
I think it's a confidence thing, and I think it goes back to the point we raised earlier on in the show that Louis van Gaal does still not know how to set his squad up correctly, does not seem to know how to play players in the correct position. You look what he did with Rashford, having scored against Midtjylland and Arsenal, ends up playing basically right back against West Brom, and playing out on the wing for games since. It's not the position that you put him in there, and he is a striker.
Watching Martial and Rashford swap round for a game.
Fielding.
Say again, Nick.
Our main centre-back partnership this season is a midfielder and a centre-back.
Yep.
Well, when it wasn't Blind, it was Carrick.
It's mix and match. I mean, it's been absolutely awful. I mean, it was two midfielders. It was Carrick and Blind in recent weeks. I mean, that's how bad it's got.
He did a good job, to be fair to him, organising the young lads at the back against Arsenal. We had no expectation to win that match going into it. I was sat around fans saying, I'd take a draw, would you? I was like, no, I don't want to see a draw, but I mean, I'd like to see us win. But if that's the mentality of the fans going up, we used to be a big enough squad to go to every game and say, we're going to win this. And even the fans are now going, we'll take a draw against Arsenal at home. That is not you're at home. You
Absolutely right.
This is also the problem, that we haven't got the fans behind us anymore. The players don't have that confidence boost of anyone getting behind them. It's now sarcastic chants from the stadium, and it just doesn't make sense.
Moving back to the Liverpool game, though, specifically, Nick, I mean, confidence, as Joe says and touched upon there, is obviously a big issue, and it's not coming in confidence from the fans, so obviously that's translating onto the pitch. But why is it that we looked a good step below Liverpool? You know, why is it that we look so far off a team that are behind us in the league?
I think it's a team that full of players that want to play for a manager and a team full of players that are currently unsure or not bothered. I think that's it. I don't think Liverpool particularly have better players than Manchester United right now. I just think it is down to commitment, it is down to effort levels, and I think ours was significantly lower than what Liverpool's were giving.
We'll know a lot more about United's European campaign, of course, later on this evening after the podcast has probably been launched. So any chance that United's European campaign continues for you, Nick?
Are you joking? No.
Okay. Joe, I mean, are you feeling the same way about the European campaign? I mean, is it game over?
We're sat probably about 1,000 yards off Old Trafford. And I'm hoping that maybe my standby influence will be able to see us through. No, I don't know. Liverpool aren't a good team, and I'm saying this and knowing that this podcast, like you say, will be released after the game. Yeah. But I'm hoping that what I'm saying is going to be right, and I hope maybe he'll come back and think I'm a genius. But I think that Liverpool aren't a good enough squad to defend against what we've got. We've got quite unknown talent in the Premier League and in Europe, and hopefully, well, Memphis won't score because we're still in England, so if he plays then we haven't got a chance, but I'm hoping that we have got some bit of competition left in Europe by the end of tonight.
Well, there you go.
Down to the first goal.
Yeah, absolutely right, and it needs to come early as well.
Well, we're not going to score 3. We can't score 3 against Liverpool.
First, it's over.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Moving on to the West Ham game to end the United chat so that Nick can go and drink the other half of that Guinness pint that he's got waiting for him, and several more, no doubt. The West Ham game, of course, the most recent one to end the United chat section of the show. We really got away with one here, didn't we? Manchester United 1, West Ham 1, of course, final result from Old Trafford. And sometimes, Nick, you just have to take a step back, don't you, and admire a brilliant piece of skill, whether it's from a United player or from an opponent. That free kick from Payet really was something special. I mean, was Paul Scholes a little bit harsh to say that De Gea could have done better with that?
A little bit, mate, if I'm being honest. Yeah, no, it was a brilliant free kick. Well, he's a top player, though. I've been very impressed with him this year. But again, West Ham, player for player, they're better than us right now, even with our injuries. I wouldn't have said so. We should have won that game.
Stan Collymore potentially thinks so, which says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think again it comes back to what I've been talking about all this show so far, Andy. It's the lack of effort, lack of passion, lack of commitment from the players. They're going through the notions, and they did it against West Ham, and we were fortunate to get a point out of it.
Well, not a point as such, but fortunate to get the replay. I understand the 3.5 pints of Guinness is clearly getting to him.
It's taking its toll on you.
He is only half Irish, I should point out, so I mean it has that effect on people. But Joe, the Martial goal, of course, for the equaliser, bails us out again, as Nick says, gets us to the replay. I mean, can a squad of the size of United's, the standard that we have, be so reliant on so few players, namely Martial and De Gea?
Well, we've realised recently that we can't really rely on them, and that's a shame. But there is not a single chance that a squad of our size, of our level, can rely on kind of these one or two players. Leicester have done it with Mahrez and Vardy, and arguably kind of some of the midfielders are a bit underrated.
Kante,
yeah, exactly. But it's just, I just think we're looking for excuses all the time. I think that we're kind of thinking, well, who can we build our squad around? And I think Martial, I don't know if he's good enough at the moment. And I know that sounds strange to say, but is he world class? No, you can't say he's world class at the moment. And is that a striker that should be playing in a club of our size? No, he should be learning how to play underneath a world class player. If we kept someone like Robin van Persie, he could have taught Martial quite a lot, because the players that don't show a lot of kind of energy on the pitch, but when they do, it's magnificent. And to have no player to help him build on what he has already is a shame to see a player of that talent being wasted at this early stage of his career.
Good point, well made. Nick, on the point of experience, of course, players like Van Persie were sold, unfortunately, but we do have experience in the midfield now through Schweinsteiger, who, of course, did return and made a difference in the West Ham game.
Well, he just rugby tackled the keeper. I can't say that's a difference, but
it worked. And this is why I'm focusing the question to you, Nick, because I had a feeling Joe might not be so defensive of Schweinsteiger. But Roy Keane made some interesting comments saying that an injured Schweinsteiger is better than Fellaini. I mean, are we about to take a step up in terms of leadership from Bastian? Has he got the potential still to do that?
Yeah, I don't think that's any qualms. I think he's come from a great Bayern Munich team when he's been put in a very, very poor Manchester United team. And I'd rather have Bastian ahead of Fellaini every day of the week. I think 90% of United fans would rather have that. I would personally think that if Carrick was to leave in the summer, Schweinsteiger will be given a more superior role within the team, i.e. maybe vice-captain to Rooney, if that's the case.
Yeah, I think you might well be right on that. Either that or potentially Chris Smalling, probably more deserving, but both.
I don't think it's just what he brings on the pitch, it's what he brings off it.
Yeah.
Obviously with players like Rashford and Martial coming through.
Completely understand with that. And perhaps could be mentor to those sort of players, maybe in their off-the-pitch conduct as well, as you say, as on the pitch. Yeah. Joe, we have only got perhaps 30 seconds for you to respond to this comment, because we are going to have to move on and of course let Nick go and enjoy St. Paddy's Day. But do you want to respond? I could see you heading hands to the Schweinsteiger comments.
I mean, it's who I hate more, Fellaini or Schweinsteiger. And if that's your argument, then it would have to be, I don't want Fellaini anywhere near a United squad. But it doesn't have to be the argument, as I said, because I don't even know where I'm going with this, because the thing is we haven't got anyone else. And I guess that I don't want to see him in a leadership role, because I think that we have too many leaders in the squad already. We have Rooney. And
bold comment.
If Rooney and Schweinsteiger play together, it just does not go well, because no player knows what they're doing, because the middle is not playing with the same kind of game as they are up top, and it just slows everything down, and it's just so boring to watch when it's in the team. I'll leave it at that, because Nick, you've got to go. Right, okay. Well, just quickly before we do let Nick go, Nick, do you think United will come through the replay against West Ham? It's the last ever FA Cup at the Bowling Ground, of course, and that builds it up nicely, doesn't it? Any chance for us? Excellent, that probably answers that one.
The last ever game. There's always a chance, Andy, but I would have thought not.
I got the feeling you weren't too confident on that one.
Yeah, I think West Ham will get the result, if I'm being honest.
Joe, where do you stand on this one?
As long as Dimitri Payet is injured, we're fine. Okay.
I don't think we're going to come through that one either. I think history is very much against us. That'll be the game that they'll look back and it'll be the last ever FA Cup game at the Bowling Ground. Of
We
course
haven't
they're going to win.
waited much, Andy.
Yeah, we do. We need to sort that out. I'll have a word with you when we catch up next. No doubt over another pint of Guinness, perhaps. We're going to wrap up though. We're going to move on to the fan takeover. Nick, thanks for joining us in part. You sell out, but nice to have you as part of the show.
Well, you did 25 minutes. It's a good stint.
Solid
Good
stint. Cheers for joining us, Nick.
No worries. See you later, boys.
No worries. There you go. Thoughts of Nick and producer Joe. And there's going to be more of that to come from me and producer Joe, at least. We're sticking around for the full shift. Fan takeover coming up next. I don't need to tell you how this works by now, do I? Every Monday, 12 p.m, we ask you some of the big debates around Manchester United. We ask you to vote, have your say, let us know what you think. That is the whole point of the fan takeover. We want your thoughts in. Unfortunately, we've not been able to grab anyone for the lines this week, so we're just going to dive straight in,
Maybe
Joe.
you don't like me.
Maybe not, but we're going to dive in and run through some of the thoughts that we had in from the polls, see if we agree with them, see what points sort of came out of that. So we started out this week's fan takeover, Joe, with this. So United, of course, as we've just covered there in United chat, drew 1-1 against West Ham in the FA Cup. Now, will the replay hurt sort of squad size that we have available to us? In the vote, 60% of the fans said no, it will not hurt our squad. Interesting thoughts that over half the fans think that it won't hurt us having to play another game in this season. But is that potentially, Joe, down to the fact that people believe we have nothing left to fight for this season, so it can't really hurt us?
I mean, it's just another. We just kind of half discussed this in the previous link. It's almost kind of. I think it's a mixture of both, and I think that it's a lack of faith shown by the fans and a lack of confidence. And if we're feeling that, then surely the whole club is. So hopefully, maybe the 40% might prevail.
Well, hopefully. I mean, do you think when it comes down to this, and like I say, we have sort of discussed West Ham, so we won't cover this in too much detail, but when it comes down to it, is it the size of the squad that's the biggest issue at United? Do we not have enough players to cover positions? Is it down to the depth that we have?
Do you think we're looking for excuses? That's what I think.
Possibly.
I think it's more the fans. I think if we go to kind of... If we win it, I don't think we'll see any of that. If we lose, I think we'll see that. So I think it comes down to the result at the end of the day, that if people kind of believe that going there and losing is going to hurt our squad, and yes, if we get a player injured and we win, is that still a positive? I don't know.
Overall, yeah, but there's not a lot of size to this squad anymore. Not a lot of quality of depth as we've sort of covered. And what is this thing with the injury situation at Manchester United? The Phil Jones suite, as we call it, the physio room down at Carrington, just seems to be constantly full. Like, is that down to Louis van Gaal? Is there a problem with player fitness? What is going on at Old Trafford?
I don't think 5's that many. You might disagree
Currently
with me.
5, yeah.
Yeah. All right, okay. Throughout the season?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, okay, yeah. I think that players maybe haven't been conditioned right this year. As you say, that the individual training routines kind of went out the window, and it became kind of the whole squad is doing my way or get out. And I think that hasn't helped things, because we see we kind of half expect a new player to end up on that list every week. So I don't really know. I think that maybe it's just. Do you think players are kind of injuring them? Just saying they're injured for the sake of not playing. I'm
just trying to avoid going out on the pitch.
Yeah, no.
I'd like to think not. But I think what might have happened there, a point you sort of raised there, was about Louis van Gaal coming in with a new training method, new staff. This is the way we're going to do things. It's going to be different. Was it just Louis van Gaal's tried to put too much of a stamp on things and maybe change things too much? And obviously with finely tuned athletes, changes like that can be quite drastic.
Well, I think every player, they come in knowing, they've been playing, players who've been at United for many years, which is the majority of our squad in the youth team at the moment, they will know what's expected of them in training. And to come and change and be working on different things, like you say, there might be parts of the team that are just not used and not kind of ready for that change. And I don't know. I don't know how much you can change that can cause that many injuries, but It might just be that it's been quite a competitive league this year, and there hasn't been really many teams that haven't been going for something. So do you reckon the passion's coming out on the pitch and players are just getting injured? Because we haven't had
Maybe so.
We haven't had too many training injuries.
We haven't, no, but
there's been more injuries that have been caused through games that maybe have gone on longer than they should do.
Look at a team like Leicester, though. Been able to... The Tinkerman, as he was well known, Claudio Ranieri, of course, at Chelsea. Far from that at Leicester during this successful campaign.
Came back to change his reputation, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And you've got to keep a squad like that together, and they have had barely any injuries. I know Kante recently was one of their bigger injuries, only very brief, though.
Mara's at the start of the season briefly, but you just don't see them and think they're vulnerable to injuries, do you? You don't think about it. Whereas
they
United,
look fit.
Whereas United, you think they don't quite. I saw Schweinsteiger and he nearly filled half me screen. I think
he's got some timber on there, hasn't he?
Doesn't quite look as a footballer. He looks more like a coach than a footballer. It's like watching kind of during ex-players game sometimes when players like Schweinsteiger.
Yeah, he could be at the Legends game this summer.
Exactly. So it just doesn't really. I don't know. I think, like you say, you look at some squads and you think they don't look like they're going to get injured. But City, I kind of almost feel like a lot of their players will look injured, but they still have the quality in depth.
Yeah, more depth, exactly.
Whereas we have no depth, and we also look vulnerable.
Yeah.
So it's not a good
bad combination.
Yes.
Yeah, really bad combination. If you've got any differing thoughts at all on any of the topics that we discuss on the show or up during the Fan Takeover now, of course, let us know at WeFollowUnited on Twitter. Do get involved in the comment section also below. Let us know what your thoughts are. But moving on to the second debate of the week from Monday. Sort of on the same mould of asking about Van Gaal changing up things at Old Trafford and trying to move away perhaps from the Sir Alex Ferguson era. We asked, would winning a trophy help United move away from the Sir Alex Ferguson era? Of course, you could class a trophy as the Community Shield, perhaps under David Moyes. You'd be a bit sad to do so, but you're able to if you want to. But 66.7%, very specific, 2/3 of the fans said yes, winning a trophy would
There's
help.
only 3 fans who voted.
Yeah, it must have been, yeah, probably. But would winning a trophy help United move on from the Sir Alex Ferguson era? 2/3 of fans that voted thought yes, it would. And at Cogsy666 was in touch, said not really sure, depends what it is. It'd have to be something pretty big, either Premiership or Champions League. And Big C75 says, football's been so poor last 3 years, it's going to take more than the Europa League or FA Cup. It would be a start, but not enough. Joe, where do you stand on this one?
Well, first of all, Cogsy, you're going to have to put a penny in the swear jar for calling it the Premiership.
I mean, we're not the sports bar on Talk Sport, but I agree, it's the Premier League.
Yeah, so anyway, moving on from that. Where do I stand? I've been pretty negative so far.
Are you going to continue?
Maybe. But no, this question is I get why you've done it, because I don't really get involved with the Monday Takeover anymore. And I think
you should. You're more than welcome.
Well, I know I used to get very into it, but I don't know where I stand anymore. No, I think that it's kind of half and half. I think I'm 66.7% sure it might make a difference, but there's still that doubt in me that would think that what's the point? At the moment, if we won the Community Shield, anything like you say, it doesn't mean anything. If you won,
something like that is meaningless, absolutely.
But if we went and won the Champions League, I mean, you've got to be a good squad to win it. You don't do it off luck. So there was
Chelsea.
Well, there was Chelsea, but they had to get there, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, and the Premier League, I mean, this year it's been that open-ended that you never knew who was going to win I think.
Yeah, we could still go down.
Well, exactly. Who knows? Newcastle's still there somewhere, aren't they? Lurking to try and take our place. But I just think that it's not really that positive, is it? Just winning a trophy. I feel like we would just be Arsenal fans then. I've compared ourselves to Arsenal fans quite a lot today, but I do think that they won the FA Cup. It was Wenger out for 2 years straight. They won the FA Cup, and then because they did that, they then do it till Christmas. And then
that's still under the same manager.
Yeah, exactly. So are you saying the squad, or are you saying if we got rid of a manager?
So I'm saying, right, whoever that manager is, right, we're being compared all the time to Sir Alex Ferguson and his era in the same way when Arsene Wenger goes, the next manager coming into Arsenal, they'll always compare him to when he did things 12 years ago. But
it doesn't matter how long we go, it's always going to be Sir Alex Ferguson era.
But I just think perhaps with that comparison all the time, perhaps the trophy would restart the clock with us. Perhaps it would be a case of, what Sir Alex Ferguson did was incredible. We've had our transition phase of a couple of years. We've been god-awful through it, but we've won our first trophy of the post-Sir Alex Ferguson era. Here is a new start. Here's Manchester United doing what they should be doing, competing and winning trophies. New start.
I think I'm in the kind of the 32.3%. Because
you're not the greatest at maths, are you?
No.
You'd be 33.
33 point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see there.
Yeah.
I was with you. No, I'm leaving 1% of the kind of. I don't
you're just
know.
leaving that open.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I want that 1%
People
for
can
me.
come in and flood that and take that 1%.
Well, if there was that 1%, I'd be in it because I don't know. I don't know where I stand with it because there's one part of me that says yes. This is such a good question that I want to be in that part where we go, yep, let's move on now. Forget about that old fart and move on. But he sits there every game and the camera always finds him.
I mean, he's part of the board. I mean, he has to be involved,
He needs to go away then, doesn't he, if we want a new era? But it's not going to happen.
Possibly.
Until a new generation of children are born and they don't know anything about Sir Alex Ferguson and they don't care about the history of the club, it's always going to be...
So we're going to have United fans turn their back on history to move on.
Well, yeah, because it's always... Who can compare to what we've had? We've been so lucky as fans.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying, and sometimes we're spoilt by success.
We're not just another club like City who can just have a kind of an owner who just funds us into success and think that's... We're built on history. So you don't forget players like George Best, do you? You don't forget that.
No.
So you're never going to forget Sir Alex Ferguson, what he did for the club.
Absolutely, but we moved on.
We haven't.
We went again. We did.
Well, yeah, but now it's about Scholes and look at them.
Yeah, look at where we were before Sir Alex Ferguson joined the club and look at where he took us. You know, we're still in a very fortunate position, albeit not very good in terms of our standard, but that standard is only because of what we've had go before. So a new trophy might breed a new mindset. Look, we're still successful. Let's move on and play our own way. I don't know. It's a difficult one.
No, I'm in that 1%. I'm sorry.
I'm in that 1% that you've made
1% that I've made up. But it's mine.
My other side of the coin on this one, Joe, and the other side of my argument on this potentially being the case that it'd be a good thing for the club, is the pressure, as you say, that we're built upon because of history and the expectation of the club and of the fans naturally may actually be undoing the club, may not be doing us a favour on the pitch.
Well, we're losing all the plastic fans, aren't we? Very slowly, we're losing them and we're being replaced by younger fans who still love the club. And
you could argue, I suppose, though, pressure and expectation should absolutely be expected at United, and maybe then that comes down to the players we're bringing in. Are they not strong enough?
So then, are we kind of in the Ed Woodward era? Is that what we're saying?
I hope that's not an era.
Well, it currently is becoming one.
I'm going to move on before that becomes a thing. Question 3 from the fan takeover this week. Do Manchester United, this is interesting on the Woodward link, do United need to look at introducing a director of football at the club? In other words, replace Woodward. 78% of the fans said yes, which I thought was actually quite low. It is a model that's not had great success and reception, reputation, call it what you will, necessarily in England. But
I'm in disbelief.
Why?
I never thought I'd see English fans say that. I think if you ask this question in Spain,
right,
I'd be all right with 78% saying yes.
Okay.
But you're asking for somebody to take over. Do you know what? Okay, all right. This is my scenario. What I would like to see maybe is a director of football with maybe the class of '95 come back and do
95 or 92?
92, wherever we are.
Which class do you want?
I want
the best one.
I don't know what I want.
The best one was 92.
I want Nicky Butt.
That was 92.
Right.
Gary Neville, Scholes.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah.
I don't want 95.
That was when you were born.
Yeah.
That's why you're referring to it. That's all you've ever known.
These numbers today are really doing me a bad... I'm going to leave it to you and Nick next week. But no, I want the class of 92 back because I think maybe a less kind of pinpoint on one manager. If you have to make it, maybe name a manager, maybe make it Gary Neville or maybe make it kind of Ryan Giggs. But if you could get a structure in place, maybe a director of football structure with his assistants, getting three really experienced kind of coaches into a club and letting them three run and control like the transfers, the management of the team, and really letting them think about what we need to do in the club, who are passionate about the club, I think that would be a lot better structure than what we currently have, which is maybe almost a business.
Is passion necessarily going to be better than knowledge?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, are you saying that the class of 92 don't have knowledge of football?
Not to the extent that I think even Woodward, not necessarily Woodward, but the board does in general, perhaps. I mean, Woodward's completely clueless, but...
he's like the Trump of Old Trafford.
Commercially very good, but should not be dealing with transfers. And this is why the director of football thing, I think, has become increasingly popular with United fans specifically.
I wouldn't like to see it unless it was that class.
Well,
unless it was
I'm going to go down a different route.
Right.
And I'm going to go down the link with Andrea Berta that we've had from Atletico. Reason being is anyone who's managed to win a La Liga title with that Barcelona and Real Madrid team, with the comparative budget sizes that those clubs do, has to be seriously considered in terms of their policy, really good running of the club, bringing in the right people, at the right time. They've managed to overthrow two massive European giants and win a title with a budget that's nowhere near the size of those clubs. United have the budget, so if Berta can come in and he's supported by money as well, that, to me, sounds very exciting.
Okay. I'll take your point.
Don't know how you
I'll
feel.
I'll put it in my pocket. I'll throw it in the pan and see how it cooks, and we'll see. I'd like to... I don't know. Yeah, I'm in such a mess with United at the moment that I kind of don't know where I'm up to myself.
I mean, do you think the next managerial appointment at Old Trafford would decide for the board where it goes? Would that decide if there is a director of football or not?
I think if you bring in maybe Pochettino, then you can see a director of football being put in place.
Whereas with someone like Mourinho,
No.
Would he want total power of the club?
No, because the club would be changed to Manchester Mourinho. It would literally be about him.
Right.
And it would be, you wouldn't know of Ed Woodward anymore. It'd be just everything Mourinho. Mourinho's done this, and it can't work with someone that big named. So, like I said, if you bring in like a lesser named, that's why I looked to the class of 92 because class of 92, because I thought
falling rapidly.
less kind of, they're not bigged up, are they? They're not. I mean, they are in the world of football themselves. But as managers, no, and managers of clubs, no. So if you bring in Mourinho or another big name, it's just going to be the same as bringing Van Gaal back in. It'll just be their philosophy. And if it doesn't work at our club, then they'll be gone. And we'll just keep recycling these big names. It'll be like Real Madrid.
Mm. Yeah, I see your point entirely. Interesting debate, that one. Keep that one up on the comment section below, please. Interested to know your thoughts. Would you have Andrea Berta? Would you have the class of 92?
Or 95 if
or
you fancy
95 or 2?
Or 2.
Or would you have no class at all? Would class be would it be out for the summer? Let us know. Penultimate question from the fan takeover. Will United struggle to keep hold of David De Gea this summer? This one went huge, Joe. Absolutely huge. The results of it were 64% said, yes, we will struggle to keep hold of David De Gea. Realistically, will Real Madrid come back in? And if Real Madrid don't come back in, who else is going to attract David De Gea away from United?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I don't think there's many clubs out there. I don't think he'd go anywhere else in England. I think he's too passionate about United within the Premier League because what we've done for him, we've made him into a superb keeper. Obviously, there had to be some talent there, but as I've said about Martial, they had keepers above him, like Van der Sar teaching him kind of the ways. So I worry that I don't worry about him going to any other club in England, but I think this is kind of with the transfer embargo in Spain at the moment with Real Madrid. I worry that this is his last chance to go in a couple of seasons.
So, do you think Madrid will be coming back in for him?
I think they've got to. I think they've got one last chance really, and like I said, I mean, maybe two chances. But
what does De Gea say from there though? If Madrid do come back in after the whole farce of how it went down through a fax machine and all the rest of it last time round, he thought he was gone. I mean, would De Gea be actually up for that move anymore?
I don't know his relationship with the club anymore. You don't know that. You don't know if a new manager makes a difference to him going. You don't know if there might be another influence there that takes him. You don't. I can't tell you that, but obviously it's clear that it wasn't a good thing for him, and if he thought he'd gone and then didn't, I mean, he kind of had to accept that he's staying in this country. I think there's some intent there, obviously, to go. So whether that intent is still there, I'm not sure. But if Real Madrid come knocking, and he has to think to himself, where is this club that I'm with at the moment going? I think that's the question he'll ask himself. It is in the next 2 years that this is my opportunity for 2 years to see if I can become probably one of the best goalkeepers to be known. I think he needs to go to a club where I think he's potentially the best goalkeeper in the world, and I think he could prove that in a very good club. So I think that he has to think, is United, the club that I'm at, going to be winning the Champions League in the next 2-3 years? I think that's the question. Well, that's it. And I think that's the question he'll ask himself.
And that's probably why he couldn't blame him for going, I guess. I mean, if he chooses to do so, why not move on to bigger and better things? He's shown loyalty to the club in the sort of opening seasons. He's had his head turned, and now he's in a club where it is stagnating and there are no real signs of improvements. Perhaps the managerial decision made by Manchester United could be key this summer.
I think that's also an influence, because if we get a manager in that works well with De Gea and gives him and says, look, we might not win it this year, we might not win it next year, but I don't want another 3-year plan. I'm not asking for that, but I want a manager who's going to come in and say we are going to do it. It might take who's just realistic about where we're at, because I don't think we've ever had that from LVG. I don't think Moyes ever gave it to us either. We've never been realistic about kind of the position we're in. Nobody has ever accepted that we're in such a bad place that we need to kind of still overhaul.
And just quickly, how worse off would we be positionally without David De Gea between the sticks?
I think we could replace him, obviously not to the same extent, but we've had a bad history of goalkeepers really up to recent times, and I think it was nice for us. It's so odd to be looking at the goalkeepers and thinking these players really matter now to our squad. We had Van der Sar. If he'd have gone, we would have been in trouble, and if De Gea would go, I think we would be in trouble. There's some shots he can't save, but I don't think I know a keeper who's been that consistent for that long and kept that many kind of games. He's won more points than any other player on that pitch, I think.
Yeah, arguably, more than anyone else in the league, but certainly in the squad. Moving on to the final debate from this week's fan takeover: have Manchester United been left behind Manchester City? Bit of deja vu around this one, Joe. We had this sort of conversation on BBC Radio Manchester, of course, a few weeks back. Wanted to know what the fans thought about this, and 76% of fans said no. Manchester United have not been left behind by Manchester City. A couple of opinions that came in on this. At Yus Raja says, as much as it hurts, I'd have to say yes in every aspect other than the commercial side. They have a better infrastructure, better management, better players, and most importantly, a board that puts football first.
Is that true?
What are your thoughts in response to that?
I don't think they do put the football first. I think they're playing. They're there because they are successful, and I said this on BBC Radio Manchester that when they stop being successful, will that board stick around? Because they pumped that much money into it, they probably made a bit back from it. Do you reckon that? I don't think they'll stick around.
Do you think?
No.
I mean, they've made a big commitment not only to the club itself but to the community around. So, would that not encourage them to stay?
I mean, this question itself, I'd look at it and think, football-wise, no. Because I mean, look at the position we're in. They're relying on quite a limited amount of players, and when they're injured, they don't do it. But I think in terms of kind of the club as a business and as a management and as kind of the whole, the background stuff that you don't really see, I think we have been left behind. They've got they've got a complex built around them. They built a fort in Manchester, and fair play to what they've done, because they've got probably the best youth facilities in the Premier League at the moment.
Absolutely, and this is pointed out by a couple of other people on Twitter. At CClay1978 United, that's Chris Clay, of course, says, only with academy infrastructure are they better at the minute. They could build something under Pep, but so could United under a different manager. And at Serious Ones mentions, way too soon to claim they've left us behind, but it's true. youngsters choose MCFC's academy nowadays over the United one, and this is certainly the case. I mean, with regards to the way we view this one, we still see, in general, I mean, looking at that, over 3/4 of the fans voting on this still see United potentially then as a bigger club. Is United's arrogance and history and past potentially blinding us from a really big problem?
I think that's why I am blinded in one sense, because I see the history of the club, and I think that's made a massive decision for me of how, if we've been left behind, because I think to myself, well, that kind of look what we've achieved, but then you've kind of got to almost say, since kind of 2012, 2010, look what they've achieved. And it's becoming, they're making their history now, and we're making nothing.
Yeah.
So it's going to get to a point, maybe in 10 years' time, that you ask that question, 100% of the fans will say, if you look back 10 years ago, we say no, and now we would say yes.
Absolutely, yeah. And will it be a case that Manchester United fans turn, dare I say, in comparing to another club, into Liverpool fans, just constantly referring to the past, to our history? You've got to make it now, as you say.
Well, how many fans can say I was there to any moment at United in the last 3-4 years? Who I would not, in the last 3-4 years I've been going to games and said to myself, I was there for that. Whereas they can look at...
You can say it in another way. You can say I was there when we lost home to Norwich.
Exactly, but they can say, remember the time that Aguero won it for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the last minute. Yeah, I think that was when our downfall almost started, wasn't it?
Mm.
We kind of knew at that point we were in trouble. We knew that season we were in trouble with our team. And since, what was that, 5 years ago now?
Yeah.
And since then we haven't done anything to improve it.
Absolutely right, absolutely. And this is why the power shift is seemingly going from red to blue and only continues to be coming that way. That being said, recent derby days have been a little bit more decent from United's part, and we're going to discuss more about the derby in the weekend preview. It's a big one. It's coming up next. It's Manchester City versus Manchester United. It doesn't get a lot bigger than it, potentially gets a bit bigger than it, but it's this Sunday, it's 4 o'clock, so plenty of time for you to get in the pub, get settled before the game. So, Joe, we're going to talk through some of the facts, form and threat and see how we would set up if we were Louis van Gaal against Manchester City. But if you look at City, first of all, Joe, just to give you a bit of background on where they're up to at the moment, seemingly in free fall in terms of league form. 13th in the form table. That's 2 wins, 1 draw and 3 losses in their last 6 games. Now, you might think at home this might be a bit different, but that's not the case. They're only 8th in the form table for home games in the last 6. They've won 3, drawn 1, and they've had 2 defeats in their last 6 at home. Now, within the wins they've had, they've been against Villa, Palace and Sunderland. It's not entirely flattering to them. Their losses, though, interestingly, against Spurs and Leicester. Now, Joe, we've been better against the so-called bigger teams of the Premier League. And Manchester City, of course, have not beaten a team in the top 6 all season and are bottom of the top 6 league with only 3 points gained against the teams around them. So on that basis, Joe, should we be filled with confidence ahead of the Manchester derby, or is it just another record for LVG to break?
Well, like you say, I don't think they've actually been that strong at home. I think
it's a rumour that goes around that they built a fortress at home, but if you look at that...
I just said it myself in the previous link, but yeah, I mean, it's embarrassing. They haven't lost too many at home. They haven't done anything exciting there either. That's my kind of standing on it. That it's not been awful for them, has it? I mean, they've not been underprivileged at home. I mean,
the couple of big wins they've had have been against poor teams.
Villa,
Palace and Sunderland.
Yeah, exactly. So
the
it's
last
not,
3,
and all of them in bad form themselves. So I get it that kind of there is some form of fortress there, but they should be winning them games. If they didn't win them games, it would be a shock, and I'm sure the bookies would be unhappy about it as well.
But to be losing against supposed title contenders in Spurs and Leicester is the games that they didn't lose at home, and now are starting to do so.
Well, this is it. I don't think they're quite as strong. I think they don't have like us. They don't seem to have the mentality to beat these bigger squads. I think they come against them, and I think they get exploited in areas they probably shouldn't. I mean, it's always the same kind of issues, isn't it? Oh, company's missing, and the midfield isn't as strong as it should be. Yaya's past it, and it's all. I've heard them excuses so many times thrown by City fans, and I think that if you look at it on paper, it's not actually that uneven. As the squads go, it's not quite as uneven as we think.
Possibly. I mean, City, as you say,
the injury list in a moment, and I don't think it's actually we're not kind of as bad as we think. If you look at that, if you'd looked at that without the expectation, see, we started the season. If I looked at the squad that I've picked, I wouldn't think it was that bad. I'd be quite excited to see it, but because of what I've seen from the players, I'm not quite as enthused by it.
Yeah, absolutely. And has this game almost sort of come at the wrong time then in that respect, that if this game had come on the back of the momentum that we were building through the huge win against FC Midtjylland, albeit it was FC Midtjylland, and then against Arsenal, if that comes on the back of that one, do you potentially have a little bit more confidence than you do now after the run of 3 bad games since?
Well, I think we showed spirit in both of those games, and to be going down 1-0 and then come back 5-1, it's pretty impressive. And I think these are the moments that make a club's kind of victory. It makes it worth it, doesn't it? It makes it worth being a fan for them similar moments. Winning against Arsenal, I was in disbelief. I've never seen so many fans hugging each other. And again, against kind of, even if it's a smaller squad in Europe, it doesn't make it any different to us. It's still a good win. And you don't look at Arsenal and think, oh, that's a game we need to win. We should have won. You think, oh, we've done really well there. Whereas if we went and beat Villa 2-0, it wouldn't be as exciting. So that's what I'm thinking, that we've actually shown a bit of desire in them matches, and then all of that desire just seems to disappear when we come up against smaller squads. And I think that's down to mentality of the manager, because you probably get these big build-ups to games. This is our one chance in Europe. Let's go out and win it. And we did it. And this is our one chance to kind of overturn Arsenal and kind of try and have one last chance at the title, and we did that. And then we go against these squads that are just not there, and we get rolled over by them, and it's embarrassing.
It is, absolutely. You mentioned though on the injury front, Joe, about City and United both missing a few players, 5 aside in fact at total. I mean, albeit some of United's aren't as influential. But Kompany...
Both good 5-a-side teams.
Decent, yeah, very decent. But, of course, they are missing Kompany, which is a big one due to that midweek injury in the Champions League. That gives us immediately a much better chance with someone like Mangala coming in to slot in. Otamendi may be fit to return. He's not been great this season, but he was good in the derby. Of course, De Bruyne, Nasri, long-term. Delph always seems to be out injured whenever he does anything. But they are missing still some key players there. Obviously, some of them longer term, so they've been missing for a while. Pretty obvious question, perhaps, Joe, but where's Manchester City's main threat going to come from?
Otamendi.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I mean, Aguero. But I think if you put a man on him, well, that doesn't make any difference to him either, does it? Really? I think you've got
to put 2 or 3.
You've got to think about kind of how you box that player in and how you make him less influential and less, because his link-up play is probably one of the best in the Premier League. You watch, and you've also got to worry about Silva, I guess. I mean, he's probably one of the biggest influences in terms of their attacking kind of force. He makes bad players look good. Silva.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you put Silva in any squad, he'd up the tempo of it, and he'd make it a better squad. But that being said, they have a really fast striker in front of him, and it makes it easier to. It's all a very good team that works together, and like I say, when one of them links goes, doesn't really has the same effect on the game. So, we're looking kind of more defensively. They're missing that link. Whether they've got used to it because they've missed him quite a lot of the season, and they're starting to kind of adapt to not having company in that back four. I think they have got some kind of structure going now because they've had a run of games together, but I don't think they're still recovering quite from not having him, because they've had him again for 2 games. It's really good in one way for us that he is injured, because it's just like, oh, they've got the captain back there, leader, and now look, they've lost him again.
I think for me, two key battles on the pitch, aside from the obvious of keeping Aguero and Silva quiet.
Saba.
I think it's all about midfield battle. Of how we go up against Torre, who usually comes good in these games against us, and also Fernandinho, who's a cracking runner from midfield and a very underrated player. And in the other area of the pitch, it would be out on the wings. If they play Jesus Navas, albeit his end product, he's absolutely diabolical. He has got bags of pace, as is Raheem Sterling if he plays. And I think Pellegrini will go with pace against us at the weekend against young, inexperienced wing-backs.
It's our biggest danger looking at kind of the line that we hold. It's not the best line in the world that I've ever seen from a Premier League side. I'd do something. I'm going to change what I've got on my piece of paper at the moment of how we're going to line up. We're not going to talk about it yet.
Well, whilst you change it, Joe, I'm just going to run through Manchester United's current form and see where they're up to. So United currently 9th in the form table in the league with 3 wins, a draw and 2 defeats in the last 6. Away from home, though, it completely crashes. 15th in the away form table with just 1 win in our last 6 away from Old Trafford. That was against Liverpool on January 17th, which is a bit scary. 2 draws, 3 defeats on the road in the last 6. So we've not won since January the 17th, as I say, against Liverpool. Do you believe, Joe, that Louis van Gaal can get it right in a big game? He did it against Liverpool. That was the last time we managed to win. Is this the sort of big game that Louis van Gaal thrives on? Is this where he comes good?
Do you know, if he does, I don't want any kind of... It's going to turn into that LVG in fan club again, isn't it? They're going to be somewhere. But I don't think I don't know what chance we've got in this game. I hope we've got something. I think if we got a draw, I'd be kind of almost impressed. But I'd like to think we've got... I think they're quite vulnerable, like you say. I think that midfield battle, if we can win it, and I think the only way you're going to win it is a bit of experience and a bit of passion, and a player that's got a bit of passion I've just thrown in there. And I may hate him, but he's in there somewhere.
Well, I know that's going to be. But Joe, let's run through the teams that we'd play then. We're Louis van Gaal. I'll let you go first because you've just mentioned a player that you hate going in there. So let's hear it. What formation are we going for? Who are we playing?
I've gone with the stereotypical football manager's formation of
the 4-2-3-1.
4-2-3-1, of course, because that's the only way you can fit every player in that. So
let's hear it.
I've gone obviously De Gea in net.
Controversial.
Yeah. I was going to go with Valdez, but
he's not there.
He's not there.
Yeah.
If he was there, he'd be there. Anyway, Darmian. I know Varella's been good, but I'd like passionate player who can cause a bit of a fight on the pitch. It's got to be Darmian, hasn't it?
An actual fight?
Yeah, an actual fight.
All right.
He'll get a yellow card in the first 5 minutes, and then he could be replaced by Varela later on.
All right.
Smalling, obviously.
Yep.
And I've done... This is where my changes come. I did have Blind here, but I put Carrick back there because it worked really well against Arsenal.
Okay, that's interesting.
I know that Smalling's great at organising that back four,
right?
But I think Carrick's better at it. And purely, he's not got the pace anymore.
I was going to say, how are you dealing with pace against Aguero?
Smalling.
Where do you think Aguero is going to put himself on the pitch?
Next to Carrick.
Yeah.
Well,
how are you dealing with that?
I put Smalling behind Carrick.
Smalling is going to go next to Carrick.
He's going to follow a sweeper role.
There's 3 players, Aguero, Smalling and Carrick in my head, just following each other around the pitch.
All right, okay, what I'll do this. I'll move them up. If you can just hear me typing, I'll move Darmian. I'll drop Smalling back here somewhere.
Smalling's going next to De Gea.
No, he's going in like a sweeper role.
Smalling is going to be a sweeper. This is getting interesting. This is no longer a 4-2-3-1.
Okay, so what is now
I can see it on my screen.
1-3-2-3-1.
I've never seen anything quite like it.
Right, so
we're going to have to put this on Twitter.
I've got De Gea,
okay,
then Smalling,
yeah,
then Darmian, Carrick, and Rojo.
This is incredible.
For a bit of width.
Right, okay.
Because obviously Carrick can't keep up with it anymore.
Yeah, fair
and
enough.
as he's probably better as a defensive midfielder, he might be a bit more comfortable with the player behind him. So Smalling's there to tidy up the mess.
Fine.
As always in any game.
Okay.
Okay, then I've got, as I've spelt it, I don't know if you want to attempt it.
No.
All right, it's
Schweinsteiger, though, isn't it?
It is Schweinsteiger.
Right.
And next to him, as it kind of fits in quite nicely, because nobody kind of, at the start of the season, we didn't have a prayer how we were going to say these names together. But it's Schneiderlin and Schweinsteiger.
So you've gone for Schmidfield?
Yeah, I've gone for Schmidfield, because
Okay.
Carrick was there, and he's gone to defence now.
Right, okay.
Blin's on the bench with Fellaini.
That's good to know.
with Fellaini and co.
They'll be happy with that.
Okay, and this is where it gets even more interesting for you.
Okay.
I've got Rashford on the right, okay, which isn't that. It's not that out there, is it, really?
It's a bit. He's a striker. You're Martialing him.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
doing it. I'm being Van Gaal for the day. I'm trying to get into his mentality.
You are actually being Louis Van Gaal right now.
Okay,
as well.
but Martial can swap with Rashford if they get a bit bored of where they are.
Okay.
They're not as frustrated then. They won't moan
So
about whether-
Rashford right.
Yeah, okay. And in the middle, this is
I can't believe what I'm seeing on my screen here.
Januzaj.
I just don't understand.
Well, Mata's not there, is he? And you know what? I don't think...
he is.
Is he playing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's available.
Do you know what I'm going to do then?
Go on. You're going to take Januzaj out, aren't? What are you doing? You're taking Rashford out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I've now put Mata on the right.
I believe Mata can play because I think the red card he had was a one-game ban for the FA Cup game,
Okay.
if I'm recalling correctly.
Well, hopefully. If not, then Rashford's there.
All
but
right,
at the
okay.
moment, Mata's there.
All right.
Okay, then Januzaj in the middle.
Yep.
Because what I've seen on the wing, he's weak and he just can't do anything. So I'm hoping that his passing play is a bit better, so we'll put him there.
I can't believe the trust you are putting in Adnan Januzaj after the criticism you've levelled at
Do you know,
him
he's
this season.
I am a big believer, after I've seen Memphis take so much criticism,
Right.
I'm a big believer in bringing a player back and giving him something, because he's just started to find some form, and then we sent him off to Germany. Anyway, on the left, there's only one player in my mind who should be on the left, and it shouldn't be Lingard, because he's just god-awful. So Memphis is there. Memphis is on the left, and he's going to cut inside and exploit kind of Otamendi, who'll be tying his shoelace or something daft like that.
Okay.
So that's a good three, I think.
It's an interesting three.
It's a tiny bit of experience, joined by young, exciting passion and pace.
Okay. And up front?
Of course, the man that we rely on so much and scores in all the big games and has rescued us from many situations, it's Martial.
Okay.
And I think that this is the game that we will either see Martial become kind of a hero of the season, or if it's kind of a player that that's been very decent for the club and one of the standout players, but not quite kind of as influential as a hero.
Okay. There you go.
There you go.
What a strange 11 that was. We will put that on Twitter so you can see Joe's fascinating formation and attempted spelling of Schweinsteiger, and also the fact that you can't quite spell Schneiderlin. But we'll let that one go. The team that I'm going to play for the Manchester City game, if I am Louis Van Gaal, you're never going to believe this, Joe. I'm going to go back to a formation that was successful under Louis Van Gaal, so he decided to stop doing it. 4-3-3. That's where I'm going, right?
4-3-3.
Yeah, I'm packing out the midfield.
I was almost tempted to go 4-4-2 myself, but not 4-3-3.
Okay. Well, I'm packing the midfield because I think the midfield battle is where this game is won and lost. So, De Gea controversially in goal.
Romero would have been a better option.
He might have been, but I'm really sticking my neck out here. David De Gea is in goal. I'm sticking with Varela at right back. That might come back and bite me, but I think he's got a bit more pace.
You don't want a fight on the pitch then?
I don't.
I'm
quite happy for the fighting to be done in the stands.
Okay.
Smalling and Rojo, centre-back partnership. Why would you put someone with no pace in when you're playing Aguero? I've no idea, so I'm not doing it.
I've got Smalling to sweep up, it's fine.
I am, however, suicidally going to have to go with Daley Blind at left-back because we've got no one else there. We could play Joe Riley, but no, that's way too big a game. Borthwick, Jackson and Shaw are both injured, so this is what we're left with. Well done, Louis Van Gaal. Daley Blind has to play somewhere.
What about Tim? Where can he play on the left?
Tim?
Fosu Mensah.
No, not there. No, not in my team anyway.
Okay.
3 in midfield. I can't believe I've actually put this down now as I'm looking at it.
It better not be Fellaini. If it is, I'm coming through the glass and hitting you.
I haven't done that. But I have put Carrick in there.
Oh, thank you. That's a good start.
I'm not sure if that's a good idea now when I look at it. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Carrick, Schneiderlin and Herrera as my midfield 3.
It sounds impressive.
I like Herrera and Schneiderlin as a midfield, and Carrick might be able to bring a bit of balance and drop into that sort of deeper role and just perhaps plant himself on Silva. Silva's not the quickest. Carrick is not particularly, well, he's very slow, but he has the intelligence positionally to stick on Silva, so I'm going to trust him with it.
So, I think I'm reading your mind here and thinking Herrera currently can't pass a ball.
Right.
So what you're doing is putting someone who can pass a ball next to him to counteract how awful Herrera is with ball control at the moment.
Possibly. I mean, you've got to put a bit of trust in the midfield, but you've also got to have a bit of spark in there as well. And Herrera, yes, his target's been off a little bit of late, but he's the one player in that midfield that could still regularly unlock the defence. Michael Carrick, of course, has great passing ability still. That doesn't go with age and pace. But in terms of going forward, Carrick is not going to bomb forward as much as he used to, so it has to be about Herrera. And I think if you put a midfield three in there, I think you sort of swallow up the midfield, try and put as many bodies in there as you can, and try and win the midfield duel against what probably will be Fernandinho and Touré. And it also means, of course, with playing a 4-3-3, you can drop the wingers back in. So you can even have a 5 in midfield if you wish. I've gone with players that probably aren't going to want to do that, but they're going to have to. Mata on the right of the 3. So he's not on the right wing. Yeah. Memphis is going out on the left. I don't understand why we dropped him, having finally picked up a bit of form. Yes, he should have scored against West Ham and won the tie.
It was them new orange boots, isn't it? Some new.
Yeah, he swapped him again, though, I think.
Oh, not again. He's such a diva, isn't he?
He is a diva. And Martial up top. So I'm going with M up as my front 3. Let us know what your thoughts are on the team selection. Would you go with Team Joe, Team Andy, or would you trust? I don't
think there's going to be any surprises here. I think this Twitter poll, if you run one, will come up.
I'm going to run it. Let's see what happens. Right. Let us know if you've got any differences that you want to see. I mean, Joe's formation, if you go for that, is sensational. Going to end the show with score predictions, though, Joe. It's been a good one, this one, so let's hope for a good result at the weekend off the back of it. What do you think against Manchester City on Sunday? Can United come out on top? Will they come out on top? What is your prediction?
Oh, there's got to be goals in it, hasn't there? Or not goals. It's
that is generally the way football works.
That's how football works. You can
There's
tell
either goals or no goals.
Well, you did hire me as a producer for a reason. Not. I don't know. I think it's one of them games that's either going to be really. This is less obvious. It's either going to be a very open game. Very close game.
I mean, again, they are usually the two sort of normal options of a game.
I think it all depends on how United play their defensive.
If you don't have a score prediction ready for me, Joe, I'll give you mine.
I'm doing it in my mind at the moment.
You're building up really well to this.
Exactly. I can get you something else. I can make it more exciting if you want. You ready?
Go on then. Joe's score prediction.
There you go. It's intense now.
We should bring this in for every score prediction. This is tense. It's gone.
City.
Right.
2.
Okay.
United. 3.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. Manchester City 2, Manchester United 3, says producer Joe. Can I be optimistic?
Van Persie will come and score a free kick at the end of it.
That'd be nice. Yeah, bit of a blast from the past. Can I be optimistic about this one? Really? No. I'm going to say Manchester City 2 at the very least. Manchester United 1. Sorry. I was going to say 2-2, but I can't bring myself to say that. I think we're going to lose.
I didn't give you a dramatic... Do you want another go?
Go on then.
Hold on. I've lost what I call, which is called the cart wall. That's broken.
Right.
So now I'm using the form of the internet. So it could be anything sparked up now.
Well, this should be interesting.
You ready?
Yep.
Is that intense enough?
Could be.
I feel like hold on. Another
no,
deep
that's
tension.
fine.
Deep tension. There you go. I found it again.
Okay. I'm going to go with Manchester City.
This is your last chance
2.
to change your mind.
Manchester City 2. Manchester United. It's still 1. It doesn't matter what the music is. It's still 1. Sorry.
That was underwhelming, wasn't it?
Right, so there you go. That ends the show in rather interesting fashion. If you're still listening, well done. You've
After
made
I've broken
it.
your ears. I'm sorry, headphone listeners.
You've made it to the end of the show with Joe, who's done a magnificent job. Michael Carrick role anchoring the show together. Thanks to Nick for bothering to show up on a bit of the show through the phone, and I hope you're enjoying your remaining Guinnesses that you've got to come and your half day in work tomorrow. And thanks to everyone who has listened. Please get involved, as I say, like away if you like what we're doing. Please subscribe to the channel as well for regular content. We'll promise it will be more regular. And please also comment below or at We Follow United on Twitter. Always interested to get your thoughts on the big debates around Manchester United. It's another season definer coming up. It's Manchester City away. Are we going to win? Let's hope so. See you next week.